So continuing prep for Florida. Last hard practice was this morning. And so then we walk through on Thursdays. And then we have a very short, fast Friday practice. So still a lot of work to do. And still shuffling around a lot of people for potential scenarios throughout the season with COVID. So just trying everything to be prepared the best we can.
Nick, start us off.
Lane, we all saw the statement that Otis put out last night. Just were you aware of some of the things he alleges in there, and what have your conversations been like with him throughout this process as he's dealing with all he's dealing with?
I've been here to support him. This has been a rough road for him. Still is, and I know he's frustrated, along with some other players, that still don't have responses about whether they can play or not. And like I just said, we just finished our last full practice. So, if he's ineligible, he's down on service team. If he's eligible, he's starting. So that's a big difference. So I obviously wish it was resolved and we would know. I thought it would have been, but it's not. So, any questions about, his statement, should be referred to his attorney.
Go ahead, Parrish.
Lane, given what's going on with the season, COVID and whatnot, the late start, all that, is there a greater emphasis in the first game on fundamentals? And where are you guys with eyes in the right place, first steps for linemen, that sort of thing?
Well, I hope we're good at those things. I think I haven't watched much football, but just when I get, people reporting me what's going on, there's a lot of sloppy play, which you would expect, a lot of turnovers and a lot of missed tackles and not playing the ball well. So I'm sure that's a product of no spring. And so we're just doing the best we can. I got no idea what's going to happen Saturday, but we'll be there. I know that much.
When you have a new staff and are installing new systems, does that give you less time to work on fundamentals?
Sure. I've said all along, it's no secret and it's no excuse for first-year staffs, but this is not ideal by any means. I said before, had I been, still where I was at FAU, I wouldn't be very nervous because, you're returning for fourth year and, the majority of your players you've already coached, you know what they do on game day, they know your expectations. So it is what it is.
We'll go to Neil.
Hey, Lane, I was wondering if you'd heard from the SEC yet about Dean Leonard.
No, another thing where, be on service team for the whole year versus probably starting for us. So, that one's probably more frustrating because it's already there and, it's not a real complicated deal. He couldn't play. They didn't have football anymore. So, what was the kid supposed to do? Sit and not play football? So you would sure think that, he'd be able to play just like the NCAA said he should.
Jeremy Pruitt a few minutes ago was saying something kind of similar about his waiting to hear from the league about Cade Mays. Is there a time that you have to get? Do they have to give you an answer one way or the other, or can it just be left open-ended going into Saturday?
I don't know that there's a rule about that. I know when it's a school, they have a certain number of days to respond, to something, but I don't know when it goes to the SEC. I do not know that. I've asked, every day, and I guess they're still working on it.
Go back to Nick.
Lane, you talked about moving some pieces around. I noticed on the roster that you guys have moved Grant Tisdale and Cade Renfro to receiver. Can you talk about what went into that and just kind of why you need those guys there instead of quarterback?
Yeah, again, like I said at the beginning, we're just preparing for every possible scenario that you could have. We're very fortunate right now. I know we tested again this morning, so we'll have those back tomorrow. But like I've said, our last two tests of 2 weeks have been perfect. So we've just throughout this, with defensive guys learning offense, all the things we've talked about, we're just preparing for every every situation by, moving some backups around.
Do you feel comfortable being able to play with just 3 scholarship quarterbacks for the season?
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
We'll go to Dave.
Lane, we've asked some of the players about the anticipated energy level inside the stadium on Saturday. Just curious what your thoughts are on that with the crowd limited and things like that. And also, communication issues or lack thereof with less people inside the stadium. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it'll be strange for our fans, for our returning players. I kind of joked the other day, but really I've just spent 3 years in Conference USA, so I've been kind of used to social distancing crowds at a lot of places. So I don't think it'll be that strange for me.
Any more questions for Coach? Nick, go ahead.
Can you just talk us through the process that you and Jeff are going to use when calling plays? I know Jeff's probably going to handle most of it, but how involved are you going to be in the play calling?
Yeah, we're running, what you would have seen at UCF. So, I'm there for him if he, has questions or things. But, I decided when I took the job to, hire a system and let them do it. I think when you mess with them too much, that can, not be good. And as the head coach, so I try to leave my coaches alone for the most part, and so I can manage the game.
We'll go back to Neil.
Not exactly hard-hitting stuff here, Lane. I'm just curious what kind of reaction you got from players and recruits so far about the powder blue jerseys.
I think it's been very positive. I know the players were extremely grateful and excited, and I think recruits will know more, obviously, from watching the game. But it's, I know you can't please everybody, and maybe there's some fans that don't like them from tradition standpoint and things, but my message would be, like with a lot of things, like I say all the time, people are a lot more happy when you get good players and win games. So sometimes you got to make decisions for what your players want and what recruits want.
Go back to Parrish.
Another hard-hitting question here, Lane, but I am curious to know your reaction to a 6-foot bobblehead of Lane Kiffin and how close that is to actual size.
It's very creepy when they showed it to me like a month ago. So it's kind of eerie being around it. But I think they did a good job. I think they took some pounds off me, so I was grateful for that. Now people will just be disappointed when they see me in real life, I guess.